Pac-12's insane move against UCLA. Pac-12's insane move against the University of California, Los Angeles. This is College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. I tried to come up with a different title for this episode. I could not do it. I tried to soften the description of this episode, but I could not do it. Pac-12's insane move against UCLA is exactly what it is. First of all, I want to apologize to the people who watch this YouTube channel, for I have pushed away this story from day one. When it was just the University of California's Board of Regents discussing the possibility, and its governor of the state of California possibly discussing stopping UCLA's move to the Big Ten, I didn't give it much thought. But now with Pac-12's own commissioner, George Kliavkoff, sending a letter to the University of California Board of Regents, going on the Kazano Wilner's podcast and talking about things like UCLA will make less money, will lose money if they join the Big Ten. We finally had to talk about it here on Peek Around the Corner. And this is an insane move. Pac-12, insane move against UCLA. There was an article broke last night on ESPN. I want to talk about that article. Then a short little article this morning from Outkick. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. I think you all know what my thoughts are on this, but we're going to explore it deeper. I want you to put down your thoughts on the comment section below the video. I read all the comments. And please hit the like button if you like this content. Please share the video with your family and friends and subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Thank you so much. We're going to get right into this. Again, could not find a different title than Pac-12's insane move against UCLA. In a letter, Pac-12's George Kliavkoff cites significant financial, mental health concerns on UCLA move to the Big Ten. This is written by Kyle Bonagura of ESPN staff writer. In a letter provided to the University of California Board of Regents ahead of a closed-door session Thursday to discuss UCLA's proposed move to the Big Ten Conference, Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff detailed significant concerns he had with the move, including its effect on student-athletes' mental health, increased travel and operational costs, and negative impacts on both California's revenue and the University of California system's climate goals. Part of this first paragraph, I agree with. But overall, George Kliavkoff's message here, I would consider breaking all credibility. I believe he has lost his credibility on his actions against UCLA in this letter to the University of California Board of Regents. Let's continue, and I will explain where I completely disagree with the gentleman. Kliavkoff's letter was provided in response to a request from the Regents for the conference perspective on UCLA's move, according to a source. Quote, despite all of the explanations made after the fact, UCLA's decision to join the Big Ten was clearly financially motivated after the UCLA athletic department managed to accumulate more than $100 million in debt over the past 3 fiscal years, Kliavkoff wrote. Okay, I have a big problem with this paragraph. UCLA's athletic department managed to accumulate more than $100 million in debt. Sure, some of that was UCLA's own falling. They failed. No doubt about it. But you know what's happened in the last 3 years? We had a pandemic. Every athletic department across the country got a gaping hole in their revenues because of the countrywide national pandemic. This is a cheap shot from Kliavkoff. Also, let's not forget, over the last decade, UCLA has been poorly managed by the leadership. Not Kliavkoff's fault. Okay? But it wasn't UCLA's fault either. The Pac-12 network and how it was created was incredibly poorly done. It basically snuffed out any chance of real distribution of the Pac-12 network, an effective distribution of the Pac-12 network. And there are other decisions along the way that the Pac-12 has made, as you all know, that has hurt UCLA and other schools in that conference. Let's go on. It gets worse from there. Back to the article. He said the increased revenue, George Kliavkoff, revenue UCLA will receive would be completely offset by the higher costs coming from added travel, the need for competitive salaries within the Big Ten, and game guaranteed expenses. No way can this be true. And we're going to go into it further here in the article. Added travel and need for competitive salary will not dry up all the extra money that UCLA will get from the Big Ten once they join the Big Ten. Let's get on to the next paragraph. UCLA currently spends approximately $8.1 million per year on travel for its teams to compete in the Pac-12 conference, Kliavkoff said. UCLA will incur a 100% increase in its team travel costs if it flies commercial in the Big Ten. Estimated at $8.1 million increase per year. A 160% increase if it charters half the time, $13.1 million per year. And a 290% increase if it charters every flight, $23 million increase per year. Well, first of all, UCLA isn't going to charter every single flight or half the flight. Those numbers, 13.1, $23 million increase, that's just to muddy the field, to muddy the discussion. Those numbers are just a fallacy, okay? We continue on. Kliavkoff did not cite how those figures were calculated or indicate if there is a genuine belief that UCLA would consider charter travel for teams other than football and basketball. Of course they would not. Just let's be blunt, of course they would not. These numbers that Kliavkoff has in his letter to the University of California Board of Regents is nonsense. And that's why I could not soften the title of this episode, Pac-12's insane move against UCLA. Let's go on to the article. According to a source familiar with UCLA's internal estimates, the school is working with the expectation that it will spend about $6 to $10 million more per year on travel in the Big Ten versus the Pac-12. $6 to $10 million per year in travel. Versus how much more will UCLA get just in the media rights alone? It's going to be at least $30 million. And that's at the start of the contract, not at the end of the Pac-12 versus Big Ten next contract. And that's just the media money. I mean, we have to remember, when UCLA joins the Big Ten, on July 1st of 2024, they will be fully invested member of the Big Ten Conference. They will own their own slice of the Big Ten network. How much is that valued? I could go on and on and on about the gaping difference between what the Pac-12 schools are going to make versus the Big Ten schools. You've heard it all before. Let's again continue with the article. According to Kliavkoff. Moving to the Big Ten, Kliavkoff speculated would also lead to UCLA spending more on salaries to fall in line with the conference norms. He estimated UCLA would need to increase its athletic department salaries by about $15 million for the university to reach the average in the Big Ten. Oh my goodness, so people will make more money in the athletic department. We never complain that a professor makes some more money or a valuable researcher makes some more money. By the way, UCLA is going to be joining a consortium of Big Ten, large research universities. The UCLA is going to make more money just off of that. Again, that's another episode for another time. My goodness, they might have to raise their salaries. A spokesman for UCLA declined comment. I do not blame UCLA for staying quiet at this moment. University of California's President Michael V. Drake, who was previously the president at Ohio State, said in an interview with the New York Times, "No decisions. I think everybody is collecting information. It's an evolving situation." We continue. Beyond the financial impact for UCLA, which is widely understood to be a driving factor in its planned move, Kliavkoff said it was also hurt California, which is also part of the University of California system. With media rights negotiations ongoing, Kliavkoff said it was difficult to disclose the exact impact without revealing confidential information, but confirmed the Pac-12 is soliciting bids with and without UCLA in the fold. We're going to finish the article right now. Beyond the financial component of the added travel, Kliavkoff said published media research by National Institute of Health, studies conducted by the NCAA, and discussions with our own student-athlete leaders show the move will have negative impact on student-athletes' mental health and take away from the academic pursuits. He added that it would also be a burden for family alumni to face cross-country trips to UCLA's team play. I agree with all of that. And so, by the way, does the Big Ten. The commissioner of the Big Ten and many people inside the Big Ten, as we peek around the corner, announced on day 2, day 3, after it was announced that UCLA and USC were joining the Big Ten, we told you all, we reported that Stanford, Oregon, Washington, Notre Dame were all the next targets of Big Ten expansion. And Big Ten was hoping that it would come sooner rather than later. We said this in the very first couple of days in the month of July because of the reasons that George Kliavkoff just read out in that paragraph. So Kliavkoff is making Kevin Warren's argument for him. Yes. Increased travel, increased time away from the student athletes of UCLA and USC, away from their family and their institutions. We agree. So does Big Ten. And that's why expansion isn't going to stop at 16. Be it here in the next month, 2 months, or a year from now, Big Ten will expand again. We've been saying this at Peek Around the Corner. Kliavkoff just basically stated the reasons for it to happen. I'll just finish here. Finally, Kliavkoff said travel runs contrary to USC's system climate goals and works against UCLA's commitment to climate neutrality by 2025. So, I do not blame George Kliavkoff one moment for trying to be put on the most positive spin he could for the Pac-12. He has to sell the Pac-12. He has to sell the institution, the 10 schools that are still there. He has to prop them up, right? He has to say better times are ahead. We're in media negotiations. We could be going digital. Highly part of their new media contract could be going to Amazon, maybe mixed in with ESPN. He has to put a positive spin. That's his job. But to come out and to say that UCLA will lose money in that in the interview he had with Wilner and Kasno, the Oregon guy, to say that Big Ten would lose, UCLA would lose money by joining the Big Ten, and to cite in this letter to University of California Board of Regents, to break it down a little bit more, those numbers are completely false. Completely false. So it has to be. Now, some people are saying this is a sign of desperation. A sign of desperation. Maybe that is true. Maybe that is true. But I think it's an insane move against UCLA for the Pac-12 commissioner to get involved in this to such a degree, teaming up basically with people who support in the University of California Board of Regents, teaming up with them to say UCLA should not move. To basically say to UCLA, if you go to the Big Ten, we are putting a toll tax on you. This is what it is. It's a toll tax. When you play in the Big Ten, you're going to pay us for the privilege of playing in the Big Ten. Why? Why? Isn't UCLA its own university? I don't understand the culture there. I don't get it. I don't get it. You're putting handcuffs around UCLA's ability to compete in the Big Ten. You are only hurting UCLA. Let's get on to another article here from Outkick by David Hookstead, out this morning. I agree with everything in it said. Pac-12 commissioners tries desperate move to save the conference. stop UCLA from leaving. Pac-12's Commissioner George Kliavkoff continues to act like a bitter ex-girlfriend. UCLA and USC are bound for the Big Ten in 2024, and while the Pac-12 can't do anything to stop the latter, the Bruins are a public program and there could be possibly measures to slow an exit. While things might muddy up UCLA's exit, there's no question the Bruins are leaving at the end of the day. However, much like a person who can't accept their relationship is over, Kliavkoff just can't let it die. Pac-12's commissioner reportedly asked for an intervention, and we just went through that, right? We just went through that. The commissioner argued in a letter that UCLA will spend more time in airplanes because of Big Ten travel, and we agree with that. And according to Outkick Hookstead here, it's a sign of true desperation. Now, let's just say a miracle happens and George Kliavkoff gets exactly what he wants. And the University of California Board of Regents changes all the rules and says UCLA cannot even go to the Big Ten. Or they put on such a huge toll tax, it buries UCLA's ability to join the Big Ten. So now what happens? Do you think if George Kliavkoff shuts and locks the front door that the Big Ten won't come back out through the back window and inside the Pac-12 and poach again? Do you think the Big Ten is going to leave USC home alone on an island? I just don't understand this. This is an insane move against UCLA. George Kliavkoff should not have written this letter in this fashion. He should not be going on podcasts and saying that UCLA will actually lose money and join the Big Ten. I can't imagine what the University of Washington, University of Oregon, and Stanford University's presidents and chancellors and people in leadership are thinking right now after what George Kliavkoff is saying here out in the open. Do you actually think that it will stop here, that if you stop UCLA from going to the Big Ten, that Kevin Warren would just throw up his hands and say, okay, fine, we'll just take USC? Again, I could not have a different title to this episode, to this event. Pac-12's insane move against UCLA. Pac-12. George Kliavkoff has put both feet into the fire, and now he's out there, and he's declaring that nobody's going to leave the Pac-10. If anyone else was going to leave the Pac-10, they would have already have done so. And George Kliavkoff is saying this when he does not control the situation. Again, put your comments down in the comment section below the video. I read them all. Especially put them down if you disagree with me. Wow. I can't believe we've come to this point. But here we are, and we've got to cover it here at Peek Around the Corner. So stick with us. Please stick with us. And again, until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.